Are you ready for life-saving and life-changing hacks?
Was ist das?
20 minutes of the best top expert tips and hacks to make your life better. LifeHakx. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more.
This is Mary Collins from LifeHakx Media and Radio X, and I have the pleasure to have Tyler Clark online with me today. Hi, Tyler. How are you?
Hi, Mary. I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. And I'm really excited to have you on because I watched SAS Who Dares Wins, and
I just was losing it watching you because you were so brilliant. So speaking of which, I'm just going to give the audience a little bit of information about you.
Yeah, no problem.
Tyler Clark is the creator of a physique fitness training program and a former contestant on SAS Who Dares Wins. She is here to talk to us today about her challenges with obesity, drugs, prison time, and her climb to success, along with her amazing new fitness program that she's got, Alpha. With that, Tyler, tell us a little bit more about your journey into the world of fitness and the challenge of SAS Who Dares Wins.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm not your generic, always been fit kind of girl. I've been actually the complete opposite end of the spectrum. At my heaviest, I was hitting nearly 16 stone. And that was during my second pregnancy in the very early days. And the midwife actually sent me for a diabetes test because my health, what I put myself in, was at a serious level of actually being a risk to my life. I was really unhealthy. And I think that for me was a huge eye-opener because I didn't see what I'd done to myself over them years. It was a downward spiral of excessive eating. My mental health was out of control. Actually, I was pretty much out of control at that point. I had no belonging in life and I didn't know what my purpose was. I wasn't happy, and it was a really low point of my life. And looking back, this journey went from probably around the age of 12 up to 22, so it was around a 10-year downward spiral of completely being lost with myself. And I actually found strength somehow, and that might have came from actually my boys, being a mum and knowing that I had to make a positive change, not just for myself, but so that I could be in their lives for longer, but to also be a good role model for them, because I didn't want them to go down the route that I was travelling.
Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? LifeHakx.
So speaking of challenges, Tyler, it hasn't been just you getting off the couch and deciding, okay, I'm obese, I got kids, and, like most people, who really don't have, yes, they have financial stresses going on, they might have work stress going on, they might have partnership stresses going on as well. You actually faced a whole other level of stress. So let's talk about that a bit more.
Yeah, I went through a really difficult part of my life, which lasted around 3 to 4 years, all in all. And this came off the back of not having a direction in life, not really knowing who I am and what I was about, that feeling of lost. And when my mental health was suffering, I was turning to drugs and to alcohol to try and block out any emotional pain that I was feeling. That then led into me actually getting in trouble with the law, where I received a prison sentence for 12 months and I was sent to prison. This was one of the most difficult times in my life because I lost everything. I lost my house. I had just given birth to my second son, and he was only 2 weeks old when I was sent to prison. So then I also had all the hormonal aspect of going through that separation. And I've never lived on my own. I've always been with my ex-partner now. I was with him for 11 years. So I'd never been on my own, never been separated from my kids. And then on top of that, I had this overwhelming guilt of letting my children down, letting my family down. I was all over the papers. I'd lost everything. And the day that I got sent to prison was one experience I can't quite put into words. It wasn't nice. It wasn't a nice place to be. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I actually find going through that struggle and that time in prison and having so much time to sit and reflect on what I'd done, mm-hmm. It was a huge regret, and it was a big decision. It was something that I shouldn't have done, but it has made me the person that I am today. Going through that period of complete rock bottom, because I appreciate so many things in life now, and you just need to break things down and put things into perspective, because when you take a look, the material things and things that you maybe think are big things in life, let's just get rid of those for a second, because what's important is things around you, family, relationships, things that make you happy. And it doesn't need to be the house, all of them things. And that made me realise that. But what also happened while I was inside was I actually found out that I can take on life on my own. I don't need to actually rely on having a partner, because he was no good for me. And it took me the time inside to work on myself. It was almost like I was unlocking the dungeons of my mind and dealing with a lot in there. I did try to commit suicide. That's how tough it was in there. And I'm not quite sure what got me through that, but there was something inside that was telling me that I had to keep going. I had to keep pushing on, because I knew that my two boys were waiting for me when I got out. Mm-hmm. But I also knew that I had to change, and that change needed to be happening, because you don't get second chances with things like that.
Right. And that's really inspiring, because like what you're saying is that, you went into prison and it taught you to get out of your own mental prison, your own anguish that you were going through. And that's also, once again, choosing that sort of alpha life hacks topic of being able to, bite your own leg off to get out of the trap that you're in, having and seeing the positive in everything. That's really, when I watched you on the SAS challenge, I was so inspired, and I don't get captivated very easily by media or television programs, but it really showed me from the beginning that you had a very strong, silent strength that most people do have. But like you said, it has to be unlocked. They have to unlock it. So, and that goes on to what happened after when you started to do your physical training and you started to compete. How on earth did you end up on the SAS Who Dares Wins Challenge? How did that come about?
So the SAS Who Dares Wins has been a program I've watched for around 6 years since it very first started, and it's a process where recruits go through the toughest mental and physical tests that the Special Forces offers. But females weren't allowed to take part in it, which was why I've never previously applied. It's only within the last 2 years that females are now allowed to be part of the Special Forces. So within the military, it's a very new role for females. So when I seen that females were on there, I thought that's my next challenge, because I got to that point where my physical strength, I'm very happy with where I am physically, but mentally, I wasn't sure if my mental strength was strong enough, or if it would let me down again the way that it's let me down in the past. So for me, it was a test of actually my mental strength more than physical. And I applied for it. I applied in the COVID lockdown, and I managed to make it as one of the recruits.
You can see it was a very tough experience. What are some of the things that you think you've learned from that experience? And can you, second question is, can you remember any specific challenges where you just thought, I'm not going to get through this, and you still managed to? And what did you do to pull yourself? I'm so excited. I have like 10 questions in one question, but you know what I'm getting at, what was the toughest thing and what got you through it?
Yeah, for me, the toughest part of the selection process was actually the mental aspect of it. It was the interrogation part for me. I knew when I took part in the series that for me was where I wanted to get to. Just to experience that interrogation phase where I'm sleep deprived, I'm at my most vulnerable, and my weaknesses are then played on. And that was because I wanted my mental strength to be put to the ultimate test, because that's something that you can't apply in normal life under normal circumstances. Now, I wasn't too fussed if I actually passed or failed the interrogation part. It was just to see how mentally tough I actually am. So that for me was the most difficult part, because I was so tired. When I had the headphones on and the white noise and the screaming babies, this went on for 48 hours. I was hearing things that had happened in the past, and it was bringing flashes back, very vivid images. I was hallucinating at one point, and it was really, really difficult mentally. So that moment when I actually got told that I'd made it through an interrogation phase was the most amazing feeling that I've ever felt, because I then knew that I can actually put full trust into myself, my mental strength, and actually, we're actually tougher than we give ourselves credit for. And it's just allowing yourself to trust yourself that, if you put your mind to something, you can do anything.
Right. That's wonderful advice. And with the case of mental sleep deprivation and everything, was it a breathing technique that you were using? Was it something, did you keep repeating something in your mind? Did you just let your mind wander to a better place? What was one of the things that helped you through that bit with the baby wailing and the headphones?
It wasn't actually any of those. For me, it was I've developed this attitude and this belief that I never want to give up on something, and that could be on dreams, on things that I want to achieve, on pretty much anything in life. If I make that decision that I want to do something, I'm not giving up. And it doesn't matter how tough life gets or how difficult things might seem. My attitude now is, you've got this, just keep going, because pain's only temporary. It doesn't last forever. And I knew that stage I was at, I was freezing cold, my body was hurting, I was hungry, I felt a very low point and very vulnerable, but I knew that it could only last for so long. And I think that's through all the past things that I've went through in the past, that I've gave up on things, and I've let things get on top of me before. And from that day when I got out of prison, that was a huge turning point for me, that I can't live my life like that. If I want something, I need to go out and get it. I can't give up on these things. So that's what got me through that phase.
Okay, wonderful.
Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more.
When I decided to make a change for my physical health, for fitness, what I wasn't expecting was so many positive impacts in my mental health through finding fitness. I began to have time alone where I could turn off from the world, turn off from all of its wants and needs, and actually have a bit of time for the first time in my life where I could actually think clearly. And by having that time, I began to find me again. So fitness really saved me, and it can probably save a lot of people out there that is suffering with mental health, because we do get told to exercise. We get told this off doctors, and people always say you should exercise, it'll clear your head. Don't shake this off. It is really true. It is there. Our bodies are meant to move. If you look at our DNA from where we began, where we originated from, we were out moving pretty much all day. So to feel better, we do need to be moving. We do need to be keeping healthy. So that's where my fitness came from.
Well, that's wonderful. But how did you actually make that leap, or that, that move towards being fit, from going from such a destructive past?
Yeah, it's difficult to say what exactly really channeled me into that. I think it was the feeling that I found when I began training, which didn't come easy. I was that girl walking into the gym, obese, with clothes hanging off me because I was so disgusted in my body. I had no self-confidence. I didn't even know how to use the machines. But I suppose I used that fear to almost drive me to prove myself wrong. I always gave up on things growing up. I gave up on university, I gave up in school, I gave up on myself. And this time, I wasn't giving up. I had to make that change. And at that point, it was really then or never, because suicide was always crossing my mind. I was on antidepressants, I was on antipsychotics. I was really in a bad place. And when I received my prison sentence, that for me was almost a turning point. It was like I seen my whole last 10 years kind of circle around me and just get sucked into this big dark hole. And that's when reality really struck me, that what have I done? And it was that moment of life where I couldn't really understand why or how I'd made the actions from the last 10 years, but that really did open my eyes to what situation I was in and that I needed to change.
So what would your first top hacks be about getting started? Does it take a whole new gym outfit? Does it take membership? Does it take 20 minutes walking? What would you recommend?
The first step for beginning the journey on fitness and finding yourself again would be to find a drive why you want to achieve it, because we can reach out for the best help in the world, we can structure a program that's going to get you there, but without a reason why achieving this is going to be important. Motivation will get you started, but you'll have no drive when things do get difficult. And there is days that I get them myself where I'm not motivated to go to the gym, I'm not motivated to do my day-to-day tasks, but I know my reasons why I need to do it. And when you look back beyond them days, then you actually realise how far you've came. So the first step for anyone that's getting started in a fitness journey or a professional journey would be to write down your reasons why, but then also attach an emotional attachment, because it might be I want to be fitter so that I can be more able to deal with life situations and have more energy. But then actually, how is that going to improve your life? You need to attach that emotional reason, that deep meaning, because that is going to drive you through difficult days, and it's going to keep you from going off track.
That's excellent, Tyler. I mean, you should be a motivational speaker as well as a coach. And speaking of which, just let the audience know a little bit about your program. What's the name of your program? I know you have a couple of things going on, because you're also like a strong woman kind of builder as well. So what are the name of the programs that you have?
Yeah, so the program I've put together is the Alpha Life Project. And the reason I've put this program together is because anybody can live an alpha life. And when I say alpha, it's not king or queen of the gym or anything like that. It's king or queen of your life, and what that stands for is full of self-confidence, knowing your purpose, actually being content with who you are, working on your strength and building your strength so that you can be the best version and the healthiest version of you. And that's what my program is designed for, and that's what everyone's achieving, and it's really, really good to see.
Well, that sounds brilliant. And for people who are listening and they want to check out more information, that's just tylerclarkcoaching.co.uk. And of course, Tyler works with people online as well as in person. So for more information, you can go to lifehakx.com. That's with the K and an X.com. And check out Tyler also on Instagram, Facebook, and so much more. So Instagram at Tyler_coaching. Tyler, thank you so much for this information. And we look forward to some more of your fabulous hacks and blogs on LifeHakx. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mary.
Why work harder when you can work smarter and live better? LifeHakx.